Hi there, I'm Lisa Capalla-Egan. Welcome to Where's Wilmington? So I know it's the new year. It's January, February. Some of us take a look at our lives and we say, gee, what can I change up? How can I make things better? Well, today we're going to talk about a little bit of a sensitive topic, but we have the best person here to educate us on it. We have Greg Moulton here of Mayflower Recovery, and he actually is the outreach coordinator for them. So we're going to talk a little bit about if you've decided to make some changes in your life and you need to make those changes, or if you're a family member or friend or a loved one of someone who needs that support, how do you go about doing that? So let's talk to Greg. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So Mayflower Recovery is right across the street from us.
It is.
In Wilmington. You guys have been here, I want to say, since 2021?
It's a little over 2 years now.
Yeah. So what's it been like for you? What's the climate been like in Wilmington for you? And what have you done to kind of help plant yourselves within the community?
I think it's been great with open arms and being able to help people and be involved in the community. I think it's been going really well.
Good. What kinds of things has Mayflower done that some of us may not know about? I know you've been pretty good, your corporation, about supporting our community. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been heavily involved in the high school and the football program, helping with the Under the Lights, sponsor that, working with the Shriners program, being able to be involved in fundraisers, as well as other local communities in the area.
Good. I think that's great that an organization like yours is reaching its feelers out to other parts of the community, because I think that's the only way you're going to make it comfortable for people to reach out.
Correct.
Right? So let's talk a little bit about what that's like. Say I maybe think I have a problem, or maybe someone I love has a problem. How do I start? What do I do?
You want to pick up the phone. If you're able to call us, you can talk to one of our admissions coordinators and make the process very easy for you, and crucial to getting better at your life.
Okay, so I call the phone number. What is that like for me? Do I confess everything right there? Do I say I don't know what I want to do? It's very scary when you decide you're going to make that change, I think. Or sometimes maybe you're so ready and willing, you just don't know what to do next, and that adrenaline is rushing.
Yeah.
So what does that feel like?
We make it as easy as possible. It's a 5 to 10 minute questionnaire just to do an assessment to see what it is that you've been doing, how you've been doing it, what you've been using, and we come up with a proper plan and pick you up.
Okay. Obviously, there's no judgment
Correct.
on the other end of that phone. And I know that you yourself are in recovery, and I appreciate you being brave enough to share that with all of us. What was it like for you when you decided to make that change, or did someone else motivate you to make that change?
At first, it was someone else. It was difficult for me to accept help, to receive the help, or to remain in treatment.
Right.
And eventually, I had to be willing to accept the help,
Right.
Which I did.
Okay. Did you know you had a problem before somebody told you had a problem, but you just weren't willing? I think denial is the big word.
Yeah, I was in denial.
You really knew?
Yeah. Well,
Deep
I was in denial for a little bit, but then eventually, I knew that I had a problem as time progressed.
Okay.
My addiction progressed.
Yeah.
And
because it is a progressive illness. I
Yes.
think that's something people probably don't think about. I have many family members who are in recovery, and I think that it starts out a certain way, nice and easy, but then it keeps going, and I think you keep lowering the bar for yourself about what's acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, for example, with alcohol. Oh, I'm not going to drink in the morning. Okay, I won't drink at lunch. Okay, I only go out on the weekends. But I think over time, those lines blur as the addiction becomes stronger, and it takes over your whole personality, right?
Yeah.
When you went into recovery, what was that like for you? You didn't do that through Mayflower, though, right?
No.
Okay. So you've been sober and clean for how many years?
A little over 9 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. Did you ever think that you would actually work in the industry itself?
I didn't. If you told me that at the beginning, I would have thought you were, crazy or wrong.
Right. Because I do think a lot of people who are in the particular industry you're in probably have some involvement or attachment, because you wouldn't be able to have the passion that you have for it. And let's face it, if you're calling a place and you're trying to make those changes, you want to feel like that person has been where you are or has stood in your shoes. You know? Okay, so I make the first phone call, or my family makes the phone call. What happens next?
We, like I said, we would do that assessment and schedule a time for you to come in.
Okay.
As long as we have all of your correct information, we're able to verify insurance or however the purpose is for you coming into treatment.
Right.
You come to our doors and our medical professionals greet you at the door with our nurses, our behavioral health technicians, and we're able to help greet you and help you along the way.
Okay. I think, too, there's a concept that many people feel like they have to do it alone. Can you speak to, is it safe, in your opinion, I know you're not a doctor, to do detoxing on your own?
I would highly recommend no, it is not. It's definitely beneficial to be supervised by medical professionals, receiving medical attention and, medications for your detoxification.
Right, because that makes it easier.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know about illicit drugs, but just coming off of things, I think people sort of have a sense, I can do it myself and then I'll go in. But probably safer and better to have some guidance and some support while that happens.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of people might not know that some withdrawals from alcohol or other drugs can be deadly.
Right.
So it's very important to receive that medical attention.
Okay, and I think most people think with alcohol, well, I just won't drink for a week. But actually, you're saying that can be
deadly.
Very dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, deadly.
Yes.
Now, Mayflower, they don't just treat alcoholism. What other kinds of addictions does Mayflower help with?
Yeah, we help with opiate addiction, benzodiazepine addiction, cocaine and meth addiction.
Okay.
Yep.
And so if people have what's called a dual diagnosis, because I think that's pretty common, I think all people who have issues with it, well, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of folks who have issues with addiction, they're probably addicted to many things. So how is that different from someone who says, my main problem is alcohol or my main problem is cocaine? How does a dual diagnosis play into that picture?
Yeah, some people might suffer from depression as well. They, or
the self-medicating piece.
Yes, exactly, or anxiety. So there's always that importance of getting the medical care, but then we also have our clinical stabilization service. We have a residential program where you can actually work on all the underlying issues as well as your physical addiction.
Okay. So for someone who's never been to rehab before, I think the concept sounds kind of scary, even though we all know, well, there must be beds, you must hang out with other people, there must be therapy. But what does a typical day, if there is such a thing, look like for someone who's starting the process? We've made the call, and we don't want to get into cost and insurance, but I know that you and I have said, where there's a will, there's a way.
Of course.
We'll find a way. We're not here to discuss insurance companies and how that all works, but once you get accepted into the program and you're there, what does that first day actually look like and feel like? And you've lived through that.
Yeah.
So what's that like?
Of course. So you're assessed by our medical director, our nurse practitioners. We have a full nursing team. Behavioral health technicians are there to supervise you 24/7.
Right.
You meet with your case managers to help with any, not just stuff that's going on inside, but also life on the outside as well. Any outgoing issues as well, to be able to help with, say, work or family.
Right.
That's a day-to-day that they're meeting with staff every single day. Yeah, we have a great culinary team. We have you have 3 meals a day.
Nice.
There's plenty of snacks, so everything is very well done.
Okay, so you're kind of in an insulated bubble.
Yeah.
At that time, and you're with like-minded people who either have been through it, like yourself on staff, but also fellow patients who are going through it too, which I think makes it nice in a way, if you can say that about the situation, because you're all sort of working towards the same goal. So that leads me to what happens when you leave, because I think it might be easier, I don't know if that's the appropriate word, but a little more sustainable when you're in that bubble. But what happens when you complete your recovery? And actually, how long do most people stay? How long is most rehab?
Yeah.
How many weeks is that?
So for us, it's about 30 days, 28 to 30 days.
Okay.
With receiving the first week of detox is about 5 to 7 days, and then our upstairs is the clinical part, which is about 2 to 3 weeks long. depending on what the individual is able to do, depending on their aftercare plan, their treatment plan while they're in there. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
Okay.
But like you said, the personal experience, like for me and for other staff that either work there or other facilities as well, is very crucial, I think. Because, having that experience or talking to someone who's really struggling in there, but sitting along someone, next to someone who has multiple years sober and recovery, I think goes a long way.
Okay. So I've been there a month now. Everything's copacetic.
Yep.
Has my family come in at this point? And how important, or friends, family can mean so many different things to so many people. How important is that piece to the puzzle? Because you know that eventually you're going to go back out into the, quotes, real world. How important is the family dynamic piece?
Oh, of course. As the individual is being treated, we're also working with the family as well. We have a family support, whole staff. So we're heavily involved with the family while they're in there. We have family support meetings. We have alumni meetings. We do a lot of stuff in the community. So they're able to get educated and also see their loved one, have meetings together to come up with aftercare plans for when they leave us so that they're equipped for success.
So you're giving them the tools, teaching them how that works. And I would imagine that's on an individual basis.
Yep.
I might bring in sister, brother, neighbor, best friend, partner, whatever. Someone else might have a whole different support system. So that must be individualized based on the person, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay. Do you have AA meetings or other things like that you have on the facility grounds?
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have outside commitments that do come in for our patients at night into the community room that is open to the public as far as like that room where we have staff meetings or we meet with the town or the commitments and family support meetings there as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you feel like addiction is addiction, or do you feel like other types of addiction are harder?
That's a
question,
good question.
right?
I've never really been asked that. To me, addiction is the same. It doesn't. If you're not physically addicted to a substance, you can still have other addictions as far as gambling or shopping or food or
Because I think it's the compulsion piece.
Yes.
I think it's drug of choice. My family always used to say it's your drug of choice. So sometimes we see in recovery that maybe you're no longer addicted to alcohol, but you might pick up something else. That's different.
Yeah.
I also think too, we were talking before we got on air about how many liquor stores, nothing against liquor stores, but there's a liquor store in every corner. But opiates are harder to get, or no?
Yeah.
Because triggers, I'm thinking about you get out, you're driving around and there's a liquor store and you look the other way, but is it as hard to get those drugs? Is it like, what is
it's harder.
the saturation
yeah,
level?
It's harder because there's just stores that are so convenient. You walk,
Right.
like you said, you drive by multiple stores every single day,
Right.
Wherever you are in every corner.
So it's harder when you're
Yeah.
in recovery to do that unless you have a mindset and tools to help with that.
Yeah.
Which leads me to saying, after someone leaves recovery, is that it?
No,
tell me about
that's only
that.
just the beginning.
Yeah.
Being able to sustain your recovery is actually harder than receiving the help. We try to reduce the stigma, reduce the difficult times that you're feeling with yourself to
Right.
enter treatment, but also sustaining and being set up for success is even harder because you have to maintain your recovery,
Right.
maintain your treatment plan, find what works for you, whatever pathway that is. We fully support any pathway that you are comfortable with,
Right.
but staying with that is crucial to being successful in recovery.
Okay. How much work do you do with your patients on triggers? When you leave, the stuff is going to come
Yes,
up. It's
of
going to
course.
come up. And even if your family has been through the process with you, you didn't get there by accident.
No.
Right? Because it is a family disease. We've heard that a million times before, with alcoholism and other things too. So how does someone combat, my old life was this way, these friends, every morning I did this certain routine. How do you break that cycle and change that?
Yeah.
And
It
you
does-
had to face that too.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you do that?
It does not happen overnight.
Oh, that's a good point.
It does not happen overnight. Just like anything, just practicing and being consistent and really understanding what's most important to you. And the world isn't going to change. We have to change. We have to want it as well.
Okay.
Is if you have that willingness and the drive to try and change, that will go a long way when it comes to recovery.
Okay. So wouldn't that make me, as the recipient of the care, angry that the world isn't going to change for me? Isn't there some anger in there, that piece to when you get out, you're all fresh and clean and new, and it's got to be jarring?
Yeah. No.
What did you feel like personally when you went through your recovery process? You came out. You must have been all gung-ho with all your new tools. How did you acclimate to the new world?
I was scared at first, and at first I didn't know if I really wanted it, to be honest with you. I didn't know if I wanted to be sober and in recovery, but over time, being around the right people that came before me, that helped me, showed me the way of a healthier, better life than what I was used to before.
Right. I think being with like-minded people who have the same mindset,
yes, is huge.
Makes all the difference. And sometimes those people can slip up too, and that's hard.
Yes.
I saw that with one of my family members in recovery. He had 30 years and his best friend had 40 years, and the best friend had a slip.
Oh, man.
It happens.
Yep.
And that's another point too. It happens. That doesn't mean you failed.
No.
But I think there is a feeling of that. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, and you don't have to share that if you don't want to. But if it does, I would imagine the person feels like, well, now I've thrown that all away. So how do you start over? That's another thing we see in society. This celebrity has been to this many rehabs or that many rehabs. Why doesn't it take sometimes?
I mean, for me, I went to treatment multiple times before I actually have the time that I have now. And like you said, having that slip, it is okay as long as you're aware of it and able to,
But the guilt, you must have, because during the process of whatever drug you're using, you're okay, you're having a great time. But the guilt afterwards and the starting over, how does one pick themselves up from that? I guess the grace of God, our higher power.
Yeah,
right?
and reaching out as well, letting somebody know that it happened. Keeping it inside will not help.
Right. And having that person to go to, and not feeling embarrassed that you're human and you made a mistake. What do you think about, though, that the rate of recovery is kind of tough?
It is.
What do you think about that? What do you think we can do better as a society to kind of make it easier for people to stay sober?
Yeah, just to be more supportive and try to erase the stigma around it, because it's in all of our communities. It doesn't matter where you came from or what position you have, that someone somewhere, either you yourself or your loved ones, are suffering from addiction, and being able to just be there to help in any way that we can together, because we can't do this alone.
This is true.
We can't do this alone. That's how we can maybe increase that percentage of success.
Right, because it's got to be frustrating for you, being in the trenches working there now, to see that. Heart-wrenching and heartbreaking. But you've been through it yourself. So I'm hoping that someday, soon, we as a society or scientists or whoever will figure out a way to make it easier for it to stick. I think, too, you probably got to know yourself.
Absolutely.
As you got better. Talk a little bit about that. What was that like for you?
I realized that I didn't really know myself at all, because at a young age, I was, numb to life. Just from my disease, with my addiction. I believe it's a family disease, like it's a disease, it's in my blood.
Do you think it's genetic?
Yeah.
For you?
Yep.
Personally? Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
it's in your DNA.
half my family suffers from addiction. I've lost multiple family members from this disease, from every which way you could think of, from drunk driving to overdose to suicide to cirrhosis of the liver. So it's and
as odd as it's going to be for me to say this, it's probably why you're so good at what you do.
It helps, like you said, find that motivator.
Yeah.
At first, none of that really scared me to personally get sober. It was actually a stranger that I had heard about that was with us at where I was.
Right.
He had left. He had completed, and then not even 24 hours later, we had already heard back that he was no longer with us. And that scared me.
I think you have to be ready, too. But when you get to know the new you, like I have friends who've gotten sober who've said they're so bored now, or they don't really know what to do with their time, or all of those things. I mean, your bank account's definitely going to change. You can see that right away. And you're going to feel better and you're going to look better. But how do you cope with all of that time that was so dedicated to the lifestyle?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I always say to people that are just starting out to find a hobby. You have to have a hobby, having a schedule, staying busy. Like you said, there is obviously more time, that was consumed when I was using, and now I have all this time, and they say, sober life is boring. But I'm actually having the time of my life.
That's great.
I'm like completely blessed and grateful for my life today.
So what was your hobby?
Basketball.
Cool.
Basketball was my first love, and it still is.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that obviously consumes your brain and your body moving at the same time, so that was probably a good one.
Yeah.
But there is probably also a concern that you're going to jump from one addiction to another. So as we talked about earlier, and I do believe it's genetic, partly too. So, knowing that you're probably always going to be a fairly compulsive person.
Yeah.
But now maybe you know what to look for, and when you go too far, you can tell yourself you have people to support you for that, right?
Yeah.
Anything final you'd like to say today? Wasn't that great? I loved talking to Greg here. And thank you for being so honest and open. I know the climate isn't always supportive of that, but we here at WCTV are. So anything final you'd like to tell people if they want some support, how to reach out, next steps, what would you like to say?
Of course. Just know that, I'm Greg. I'm a man in long-term recovery. We are here to help. Please pick up the phone. It's never too late. Mayflower Recovery is here. You can call us at 978-737-7937 or visit our website at mayflowerrecovery.com. Thank you.
And that is a 24-hour line,
yes,
right?
24/7.
So that means, because most of these things don't happen in the morning, right? When you're really in the depths of it, that's when you're going to need somebody. Yeah. Also, we do have Samantha Reeve Kavanaugh, who is the liaison for the town, who can help too through the Wilmington Police Department. I'm sure she works with you guys in tandem too to do stuff like that. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for your honesty. I celebrate your sobriety. I'm so happy we had you here today. And if you're out there struggling, please know that there are people who can help you and you can reach out. Or if a family member or loved one has an issue, you can call Mayflower and they'll help you work through the process of maybe trying to help that loved one. So I want to say thank you so much for watching today. And the next time somebody asks you, where's Wilmington, you tell them right here and right here on WCTV. We'll see you again soon.